The group of five continues to go under changes, and that means that we'll see some different teams at the top of this group next year. Today, we're taking a look at the top 25 teams for the 2024 season in the group of five, and we'll see a number of new teams at the top. Picking a number one team is difficult, but the Memphis Tigers definitely deserve to be in that conversation. Having Seth Hennigan coming back is probably the biggest addition without subtraction for the Memphis Tigers. I think that he has been a good player for them. He's been a steady hand for that offense. And when you look at the fact that they get Rock Taylor back as well, you're seeing a team that is very much going to be in the hunt for an AAC title, something that came up just short in 2023 and something they can definitely achieve in 2024. The passing attack and the offense in general should be really explosive once again. And the defense has some nice pieces to work around as well. Boise State had a weird year, but I'm really excited to see what they bring to the table in 2024. At the time I'm recording this, it sounds like Malachi Nelson, the former USC transfer, former five-star, has significant interest in coming to Boise State, which would solve their quarterback woes now with Taylor Green off in the portal. It also gives Ashton Jeanty a partner in the backfield that could be explosive. Jeanty is one of the best running backs in college football, and he returns next year to hopefully give the Boise State Broncos a much better season. They did win the conference though this year, so there is definitely that expectation heading into 2024. And when you look at some of the talent that they have returning, it's easy to see why they could be a really fun group. The defense is really talented, and so is the offense. While Jacksonville State didn't get to compete for a Conference USA title, they definitely would have made things interesting had they gotten the opportunity this year. A 9-4 finish for Rich Rodriguez, and they have quite a bit of talent coming back. 13 returning starters projected for next year, and this is an offense that relies heavily on the rushing attack. Now, they will need a new quarterback, but Logan Smothers appears to be set to take over that role. The defense has a number of nice pieces. Chris Hardy and J-Rock Swain looked really good this year, and I expect them to lead this defense to an even better year in 2024. This one might be a little bit of an overreaction, but I really like where USF is going. Alex Golesh is doing a great job of bringing in talent to South Florida and getting them to play at a high level. They're an explosive offense that I think is only going to get better with time. And with Byron Brown running the show, we saw him take steps this year. We saw his explosive nature, and we saw what this offense could be. The passing attack appears to be in good hands. Should certain players return, like Sean Atkins and Naeem Simmons, and I think that can only mean good things for a team that will be in contention for an AAC title. Liberty probably would have been my number one overall team had they not lost Caden Salter, CJ Daniels in the transfer portal. They also lost Kenny Charles in the transfer portal, as well as Kobe Singleton. They took some significant hits in the transfer portal, and it's a big reason why they're not my number one team. This is still a really talented team. Jamie Chadwell knows what he's doing. He knows how to build a program and bring in talent and still have a good rushing attack with guys like Quentin Cooley, Billy Lucas. And I think the defense has a number of nice pieces that make this team really fun as a contender to get back to the NY6 game. While UNLV loses its starting quarterback, they do get Doug Brumfeld back. So I think that makes this team still a solid team. I think Brumfeld has the ability to make some big plays. And with Ricky White returning, he has a go-to target that can stretch a defense. The defense itself also has some key players returning as well. And I think that's enough to make this team really exciting in the Mountain West, a team that should challenge once again for a conference title. They do have some pieces that they need to find out, fill some holes, but I think this is a really fun team to watch in 2024. Miami of Ohio surprised a lot of people by winning the MAC conference over the favorite Toledo, and they return a number of talented players in 2024. Brett Gabbert appears to be set to return at quarterback. That is a huge return for them. And if he stays healthy, this will be a really fun team to watch. The defense is stacked. I think the front seven is one of the best in the group of five, definitely in the MAC. You look at Matt Salopek coming back, Ty Wise, Brian Uwu. You have a number of players that are going to be disruptive, and it's a big reason why Miami should be one of the favorites to win the MAC title. We finally get to see what Jeff Traylor can do without Frank Harris. You get to see him move on to another quarterback for the first time in his career at UTSA. And you can't count out the Roadrunners despite the losses they sustain. You lost Trey Moore to the transfer portal. You also lose Frank Harris, Joshua Cephas, guys like Rashad Wisdom will be big losses. But there's still a good chunk of starters returning. This is a team that should still be in contention for an AAC title. They just need certain guys to step up. Guys like Devin McEwen could be one of those players that makes their name known a little bit more in 2024, but you also get certain guys back on both sides of the ball. Guys like Kavorian Barnes at running back, Brandon Brown. You have a number of playmakers back. So I think the Roadrunners are still in good hands. We'll see what happens with the coaching situation. If Jeff Tedford is truly back and back to full health, we obviously hope that he's doing well. Then I think Fresno State is a team that will be in contention in the Mountain West. A 9-4 finish, kind of a disappointing finish with how they started, but this is still a really fun team, a really talented team, and the offense will be once again the focal point. Mikey King comes back after having a big year in 2023, nearly threw for 3,000 yards, 24 touchdowns in his first full season as a starter. He gets a number of explosive weapons back around him as well. And the defense gets a nice surprise in Cam Lockridge returning. I think that the defense has to fill a number of key players positions that left, but this is still a team that will be very fun to watch and a team that will contend for a title in 2024. Texas State was one of the surprises in the college football in 2023, and GJ Kinney has done a phenomenal job of bringing the right talent in to make things happen. You get a nice return in TJ Finley. I think that he was flirting with maybe going to the transfer portal, going to the NFL potentially, but he comes back. Ismail Mahdi is one of the best running backs of the group of five. Joey Hobart is one of the best wide receivers in the group of five. They have a number of talented players on offense. The defense can be disruptive. You'd like to see them take a little bit more of a step forward, help them win games more comfortably. But you had that first year where everybody's kind of feeling each other out, and now you know exactly what is needed to win the Sun Belt and to elevate your program to take that next step. Troy is going under new leadership going into the 2024 season. There are a number of players returning that could make this team a contender. I do worry if they will take a step back. He won back-to-back titles and in the Sun Belt, and you're looking at a team that, like I said, it's kind of hard to win at a consistent level. And when you lose John Summerall to Tulane, I think eventually you're going to take a step back. Now, I think that there's plenty of talent to make them still a contender in this conference, but I think it's going to take a little bit of time for them to get adjusted to the new regime. App State finished 9-5. It was a surprising year, and a big reason that was Joey Aguilar. I think that if he is able to take another step forward, the passing attack has all the weapons that he needs to be successful. Caden Robinson, Christian Horn had big years in 2023, and Aguilar is looking to build upon a season in which he threw for over 3,700 yards and 33 touchdowns. This is a really fun team, and this coaching staff and Sean Clark deserve a lot of love for what they did. After last year's step back, they took a step forward in a big way, and it's because the offense was able to figure out its identity. They figured it out early and often, and now the defense just has to figure out some things on their end, and you're looking at a team that will compete for the Sun Belt title and potentially move up in these rankings. Air Force loses a ton of talent. They only have 5 returning starters by my count, and they lose a lot of big time contributors. You lose a ton of talent on the defensive side of the ball. You lose your entire offensive line, but it is Troy Calhoun. It is a service academy, so I can't doubt them too much. While I think maybe this is still a little bit high for Air Force, I also didn't think they were going to be that good, as at least as good as they were last year. So if they're able to figure some things out, whether or not they figure out the quarterback position, if John Busha is truly the answer, Dylan Carson and Ian Calvert come back after averaging over 7 yards per carry. So they have some nice pieces in place. It's just a matter of figuring out who's going to be your new starter. You're having essentially almost a new wave of players stepping up, and we'll see what happens when they come together. Had Kurt Cignetti not left James Madison, this would have been another team that probably would have competed for the #1 spot in this list. James Madison had a phenomenal year, 11-2 season, full of some controversy with their inability to compete for a conference title, which is absolutely ridiculous, but that's a topic for another video. I still think that they're in good hands. You look at what Lodgett has to take over. I think that you're looking at a talented group that needs a new identity on offense, but has some nice pieces on the defensive side of the ball. Again, if Cignetti was still here, this would be one of the best group of 5 teams. But given that you lost a ton of talent on both sides of the ball, this is still a team that is trying to figure out who's going to step up in a big way. A guy to watch is D'Angelo Pons. Freshman had a big year in 2023, and I expect him to have an even better year in 2024. With Craig Bowl retiring, it's going to be interesting to see what the new regime does with this team. But you have a number of talented players returning. The defense returns a ton of talent. You return a ton of returning starters, and the front seven should once again, or front six, depending on what they're doing, should be one of the best in the group of five, maybe even one of the best in college football. The linebackers are great, and it's just a matter of what can the offense do. You're going to look at a new quarterback taking over and for Andrew Peasley, but they do have Harrison Whaley next to them. So there's going to be a lot of excitement surrounding this program still, even with Craig Bowl gone. So it'll be interesting to see what the new coaching staff does, how they're able to take this team. They inherit quite a bit of talent. So it's not like they're going to fall off too far. It's just a matter of what does the ceiling look like this year. John Summerall has some work to do in terms of retooling the roster, though he does return 7 starters for next year. You lose your quarterback in Michael Pratt. You also saw Kai Horton hit the transfer portal. But I think Summerall has an idea of what he wants to do. You saw what he was able to produce at Troy, and now I think he gets an opportunity to do it in the AAC with Tulane. It'll be interesting to see what the offense looks like. Mekhi Hughes will obviously be the feature with Michael Pratt gone. We'll see who is the quarterback for this offense. And they have some talent out wide as well to utilize. The defense has a number of key players returning, though they do lose quite a bit. You lose guys like Patrick Jenkins. You lose certain guys on the back end as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what Summerall can do with this roster and see what he needs to add in the future. Arkansas State was a sneaky good team towards the end of the year, and Butch Jones deserves a lot of credit for what he did in 2023. A 6-7 finish. It isn't a great finish, but for Arkansas State and the expectations that we had from them this year, that is a great way to finish the year. 13 returning starters coming back, including freshman sensation Jalen Rayner. Had a big year with over 2,500 yards and 17 touchdowns, and the passing attack and the offense in general should be one of the best in the Sun Belt, should be an explosive group, and Rayner is going to be really fun to watch in 2024. The Blake Anderson team just belongs in this top 25 by default. They are simply a team that will not give up. And when you look at the amount of talent they have returning, there's reason to believe they could be a sneaky good team in the Mountain West. 12 returning starters projected for next year. Levi Williams maybe is going to be the starter. We'll see what happens at the quarterback position, but someone has to find a way to get Jalen Royals the football. This is a passing attack that should be really good in 2024. You have a number of talented players returning and a number of guys that can make big plays. It's just a matter of getting them the football and being consistent throwing it to them. I thought Colorado State was going to be better last year, but that wasn't the case. They just did not live up to expectations. They did finish 5-7. And you just have to wonder what would have happened if they did a couple things different in the Colorado game. We obviously can't go back and change that. One of the biggest newsers from this offseason was Torrey Horton returning to this team. One of the bigger surprises, because not only did he not go pro, he did not hit the transfer portal either. So that gives a guy like Braden Fowler Nicolosi a big time target downfield. You know exactly what he's capable of doing. Everybody knows who he is. You also get a guy in Justice Ross Simmons back that had a breakout year as well. The defense is underrated. I think they have a ton of talent that people don't really know about, and that is going to be the biggest X factor. If this defense can step up, then I think this is going to be a sleeper team in 2024. Toledo took a number of losses in the offseason, whether that was just graduation, the NFL draft, the transfer portal. You lost a guy in DeQuan Finn. That's a huge loss for them. That was kind of a surprise as he heads to Baylor, but it's now the Tucker Gleason show. Maybe there's going to be a quarterback competition in the offseason, but Tucker Gleason gets the first crack at it. So you lose a player like Penny Boone recently, but Jacquez Stewart is back. You lose Jerwan Newton, but you have Junior Vanderdoss. So they have some players that can step up into bigger roles. It's just that you lose quite a bit of talent. So you lose another guy like Kenyon Mitchell, Maxon Hook. There are a number of players on the defensive side of the ball that you lose as well. So yes, you do have players, but Jason Candle has a lot of work to do. He's going to get this team back to the MAC Conference Championship. Marshall was kind of all over the place last year, though I really like the core that they have in place. I think that they are a really exciting team. I think that they have a lot of talent. It's just a matter of putting it all together. You return 12 starters as a projection for next year, and a number of them are big-time playmakers. Now, you need to see Cole Pennington at quarterback take a step forward. Can Ethan Payne be the workhorse at running back? And can the offense find a passing attack that's more consistent than last year? Can the defense be explosive? You lose a guy like Owen Porter, who was disruptive at defensive end. Micah Abraham on the backside was really disruptive as well. But you get guys back like Michael Green, Steven Dix Jr. You have a number of talented players that can make life easy for you, and that could put you at the top or at least competing with the best in the Sun Belt. Brent Brennan deserves a ton of credit, even though 7-6 might seem like a disappointing year. It was a good bounce back season for San Jose State. A tough start to the year was expected, but this team rattled off wins towards the second half of the year. And you finish with 7-6. That's a good thing for this program. You have a number of players that you lose, specifically Siobhan Carrero. That hurts, but obviously you're going to get certain guys back. Nick Nash is one of the more underrated wide receivers in college football. Trey Smith is the same at defensive end. The defense returns a number of big pieces. That'll be a really fun group to watch. And it's just a matter of who's going to be that quarterback. Can they get the offense up to speed with Cordero gone? Georgia Southern's going under some changes after a 6-7 year, but there's a lot of reasons to believe that this team can compete with the best in the Sun Belt. It's just a matter of finding more consistency. The defense has to find ways to get more stops. The offense simply has to find ways to be more explosive and not turn the football over. That was a big thing for Georgia Southern. Was Davis Brin was a turnover machine at times, and that's really what did them in a lot of games. You lost a lot of momentum early in games, but if you can find a consistent player, maybe Indiana transfer Dexter Williams is that guy, but you have guys like Derwin Burgess back that you can utilize, and if you find that consistency, this is going to be a really fun team. A sleeper team in the Sun Belt, in my opinion, is Old Dominion. I think that Ricky Ronnie did an incredible job of getting this team to 6-7 and kind of quietly flew under the radar. No one really paid attention to them, and they return almost every key player for the 2024 season. You lost a bit of talent at the running back position, though you do get back a number of guys like Keyshawn Wicks. You also get quarterback Grant Wilson back. We'll see what happens with Jason Henderson. As of right now, it sounds like he's coming back, but there is a possibility he goes pro. Nonetheless, you still have a number of talented players on the defensive side of the ball that can make some noise. You need to get improvement on that side of the ball. The defense struggled at times to get stops. And if you're able to do that and the offense can take a step, this is a really dangerous team. San Diego State had a disappointing year. A 4-8 finish isn't what they wanted in Brady Hoke's final season, though they did make a nice hire in Sean Lewis. I think that what Sean Lewis did at Kent State should be really exciting if you're a San Diego State fan. His ability to get Kent State to the top of the MAC, and you look at the Penn State had some of the best years while Lewis was on campus. And now you go to a place where there's more talent around him. It's easier to get guys to come to campus. And you have a guy who runs a unique system, an explosive system that should make things light night and day compared to where they were before. You still rely on the defense to make plays, but you will now see an offense that should take a step forward. It might not be this year, but you'll see it in the long run as a better group, a more explosive group going forward.